Within the general migration policy of the European Union, it is impossible not to have fundamental rights violations. They are part of the policy.
What we see as a bigger problem in general is that the Commission chooses sides of the member states, especially since 2015, when many Syrian refugees entered the EU. They have really changed their priorities, and fundamental rights compliance, it's not one of their key priorities, I'm afraid.
Right. Thank you so much for coming, and my honest apologies for delays, also for everybody who's watching us for the stream and everybody who came. Today we're going to do a little bit different than to our usual program, as in we're not going to talk so much in regards to pushbacks over the theme at large, but particularly about the people who make this program. First of all, a little bit about the snippets that you just saw. Lena Karamanidou, a fantastic expert, was the first sound snippet that you saw and that you heard. The second one was Tineke Strik, a member of the European Parliament, member of the Green Party, and member thereby also of the runner-up party to the very recent Dutch elections, where Geert Wilders won as the frontrunner of those party. Given by what ticket Geert Wilders got elected, the issues that we seek to cover, also within the film at large and also within the stances that we all represent, is somewhat contrary to what the current European zeitgeist seems to be. Therefore, we hope also that everybody who will tune in now will at least get a little bit of a toned understanding of what migration means to a certain content and where this conversation can go on forward. But removed from all that, I'm very happy to finally present you the people with whom I've been working on this project so far. And first of all, I would like to ask Rika Novak, our animator, to join us on this end, to present us a little bit about her past work and a little bit about how her journey got us to Anachoma. Hey there. Would you, first of all, introduce yourself to the people and tell us how you got into your art craft, how you got into started in animation, and why then you later decided to join this project?
Hello. So yeah, I'm Reka. I'm one of the animators of this film, and so my background is media design and video art. These works that are here now, it's a bit older. I got reminded today to update my portfolio from this. But basically, I've been doing video artworks and like interactive media installations in the past years. And also, why I don't have so much new artsy stuff from the last year is because I've been more into like cultural organizing. So I'm also active in this place where we are now. It's Altangrund for the people who don't know it on the live stream. And so I'm also part of it and doing more like the background cultural work now. And how I got into this project and into animations, I've been doing similar stuff a few times, like small, like few minutes, 5-10 minutes, like informational documentaries which were only animation. And so I was just going out for a smoke with Philip, and I was telling him about how I went to Salzburg Summer Academy and I did some animations there, and then he was like, oh, okay, yo, so we are looking for an animator actually. And that's kind of how I got into this project, and it's really nice because I can practice some skills that I haven't been using in a while, like the past 2 years or so. So that's also really nice, like renew this process somehow.
Right. If we can we show the exhibit of 17B, which is one of the many maps that Rika is working on in the film? I think what I genuinely very much enjoy about your work is also very straightforward and very cut out to punch off what the minimalist expectation of this feature would be. Tell us about how you go about this work.
Okay, so yeah, as you said, it's very straightforward, and because it's kind of also because you also give me the information very straightforward, which is super nice. It's very rare, I think, also to work in a group where like I don't have to figure out everything by myself, because somehow the work is like really nicely structured, and I get everything like ready to me when I start working on it. So basically what is in this film is like map animations like this and like text that you saw before. And it's also quite nice in a sense. I didn't really know a lot about this topic, or like I had the general information, but not super deep. I was not so well versed in this. So as I do the animations, it's also something new that I learn through like the text that I'm animating for, or all the documents that are in this. So it's also kind of easy in a sense to, I also have to understand the topic, so I can find the information that other people will need visually to understand it. Yeah, these, I mean, it's obviously a lot of text that we are working with, because it's a lot of legislations and articles that kind of give the base of this topic, and it has to be sort of shown that it's real and it's not just like got out from like the thin air. So it's a bit of a challenge to make it not super dry and make it feasible for the people who are going to watch it, and they will not get really scared from all of this text that we are showing and all of this information that we are showing. So it's a really nice challenge for me also to make it like somehow put in some artistic aspect or design aspect that makes it a bit more clear and, yeah, understandable, I guess.
Right. If we can show actually, yes, 13B version 2 up. There we go. Thank you. There's also, I think, a wonderful piece that you managed to bring together coherently quite well, which is the double exposition. For anybody who doesn't know, the original map building that you see there is a map from the 1926 Lausanne Agreement, by which the Evros River first became a border between Greece and Turkey, which we found in our research through many ends, also by Stefanos Levidis, with whom we mentioned a lot also in our last event. Can you tell us a little bit how you went about it? Because I think it's very straightforward the way it looks now, but was also a bit of a process.
Yeah, this one, it looks very easy, but it was not so easy to do actually. Like this map is, yeah, it's from a time when people didn't have nice satellites to make up-to-date Google renderings? No, I don't know. Information from how the Earth looks like from the top. So it was quite a challenge to really understand like where things are on it actually, and was a lot of I don't know, just geographical work that I was doing with it to like actually understand that, okay, this city is this city, and like this turn of the river should be like this, but it's not true, but it's not, and then I don't know how much can I cheat on it. It should be accurate, but it also should look in a way that it's not completely messy. Yeah. So this is like a whole, it's a bigger map, and the original one kind of is like, I don't know how to show it to you. It's like diagonally put in this now. So yeah, I had to turn the word around a little bit for this to actually work out. And yeah, and the rest of it is just, the rest of it just follows basically the topic that is under it. So I would not explain that because that would be not very interesting now.
Right, but it's also not the first time that you merge a little bit of geography and cultural mapping together with art and design, right? I mean, you also study here at the Angewandte field that is fairly designed to feature these two elements side by side. Is there a particular asset of style that you try to incorporate with both to like make city planning, urban spaces visually appealing for people who would not be, primarily really moved by either?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's hard to answer it. Yeah, I study social design, and yeah, it contains a lot of topics about how to make cities more visible and more livable. And I don't know, it's a bit different from from this. I mean, there's a lot of mapping involved somehow. People at social design love to map things, but it's more like a subjective kind of mapping. So it's like, for example, a workshop format of like bringing people together and like understanding a space through some kind of visual output. And that can be very flexible, like how do you feel yourself? How does your body react to certain things? What do you see, hear, smell, whatever? So this is a very common format that I think is used for understanding spaces and sort of pointing out the problem areas of these places, and then design something that reflects on it. So yeah, this is something that is similar in a sense, but also different. Yes, and I've been also doing some like public space art, so that is something that is also used in it a lot, like reflecting on other people's impressions of a place and then, yeah, reacting to them and inviting them to participate in the creation of the actual artwork. So, yeah. Maps are actually playing a large part of my life now that I think about it.
Thank you. Is there something that you would like also to continue to develop in the future with your profile, by the way, of like wanting to be making informative mapping or also animations in different style that can, you know, break down complex issues in the future, and or not so much?
Wow, I'm not super sure, honestly, about what I'm doing in the future. But definitely, yes. I mean, I'm just also very interested in the format of animation, and it's also, I've been doing 3D animation a little bit also, so that's also something that I would like to develop a little bit. I've been doing this, like the project that I told you about, which was also some sort of a mapping. It's like photogrammetry, so like scanning a space through pictures and then like putting it in a 3D software, or like 3 different softwares, and then kind of going through this space. So that's also something that I'm very into right now. I just haven't really had a lot of time to practice it in the recent months, but that's also something that I would love to continue, because it's also like a super interesting way of experimenting a space, and you can really play around with like what you focus on when you take the photos, and not just directly reproduce a space, but also point out certain aspects of it and play with textures and play with movement and sizes. So yeah, that's also something that I would like to continue doing.
All right, and final question, what was so far worst and best experience with us? Because, like, by the way, everything that she said about bringing the material in an organized fashion already at hand, it's absolute bullshit, unfortunately. But yeah, would be also curious what this project you feel does to you creatively, if you could see yourself also bringing more into film in that direction, or is that kind of like a one-off for the cause and because the subject matter matters to you as well?
Yeah, okay. Something that I really appreciate about this project is the very nice theme. Yeah, I think it's not bullshit, actually. I mean, it's not fully organized, of course, but it's also super easy to always like communicate and understand the things that you are that you want me to do, and so yeah, I actually just really like the working environment in general. Also, I just spend a lot of time here anyways, so it's in general a working environment that I like. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here every day. I don't know if there is a worst aspect. I mean, as I already talked with you about this, there is very limited time in my life, because when you start doing one kind of like activist or like politically engaged thing, then you suddenly start doing 5 other things, and then it just kind of leads to like a big amount of overwhelmedness. So yeah, I think there are people relating to this over there. So yeah, I think that's the one aspect that I can bring up that is always a bit heavy. but also because everybody is kind of relating to it, it's also nice because you can share this sort of grievances with the other person and they all understand and not give you shit if you can't finish something on time because you were doing 100 other things at the same time. So yeah, it's very understanding and very nice community experience also.
Aw. Right. Rika, thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time. If you would like to find out more about Rika's work, we're also going to leave a link in the description of this this live stream, and then also hopefully throughout watching the film at a later stage. And about also what Rika mentioned to our partners, I also thank you so much for Altengrund, and they are of course also listed on the website as our partners, and if you ever hear Vienna, come check it out. And then another person that I met here in Altengrund is actually a second animator as well, which is Alina Kare. Right. Hi. So, Lina, you had then a quite different approach in how to ended up in this project as well, and also through the visualizations of your past. Kind of let's do the same thing. Could you quickly introduce yourself, tell us how you got started onto the work that you did, and how you're developing now?
It's a bit difficult to know where to start, but basically I always was very drawn to art in multiple ways. Since I can hold a pen, I was drawing stuff. So basically the drawing approach is pretty much everywhere in my art meanwhile, and people are also seeing that, which is very nice, and I'm very happy that it's sort of established in a sense. But I was approaching the digital world in Corona times because I was actually more into very hands-on projects and very on-site and seeing people and being out in the world, and suddenly that wasn't possible anymore, so I started doing collages on Photoshop and basically taught everything myself, and pretty much all of it, which was very crazy, and most of the things I did was like just learning them by doing them. And that's also how I ended up in this project, sort of. There was another friend of mine, and that friend connected everything, and that was really very great. And I was very happy that I could contribute to this project with basically art. I was really happy about that and trying to do the best out of all that. So eventually, yeah, I really love doing graphic design, and this is what I've been doing the past 2 years actually. And I'm very happy that it's working out this way. Of course, it's a bit difficult, but I really try to make it work, and it does work most of the time in activist context as well. So I can relate to that. Once you start something, you can't stop. So free time is something weird sometimes, but also good, and you need it. You really need these spaces where you just do nothing at all, even though you don't know what to do then, but that's fine. Yeah.
Thank you. Can we also then show a little bit of Alina's work on the film as well? And to everybody who doesn't know, because I don't think anybody knows, but it's mind-boggling. Like, I got here in summer because Johanna invited me to basically join here at Altengrund and to set up a little bit like of a somewhat of an office space and to work together here for post-production. And I met you in June, July, end of June. And you said that you're very interested, but like you haven't animated at all. And I think at that point, the first thing that you showed was like a little 2-second kind of repeat of a Pac-Man emoji going forward and eating stuff.
It was a cell that was eating, no, actually was a part of a different project where a cell is dividing fat particles. It's a very science-related project, to keep you on the same page, but I was just using this to learn how to animate something as a first step. So the small thing was eating fat cells, basically. Looking very happy about that. It had eyes in the mouth.
Yeah, I'm sorry that I called it a Pac-Man, but like it just looked like it.
Yeah.
But you went from there to doing basically 5 minutes of the film's animation sequences in 30 FPS, wrapped up from scratch, with nothing going into it by end of October. Like and that's some of the wonderful stills that we see out of there. I brought 4 scenes with me that I thought could be interesting, but you wanted to talk a little bit about scene number 3, right? Or scene number 8 first?
I was a bit indecisive about this part, to be honest, because we can definitely show both of them. That's fine with me, but let's watch them first, then I will talk. I need to say that was one of the hardest scenes for me, especially the part with the mother and the child. I had to stop drawing in between because I pretty much detached all of my feelings in this time when I was working on these pieces, because of course, you know, it's absolutely indescribable how hard it is for the people that are really going through these things. But having to think about how to show it and then draw it was also a different level on talking about activism, or like trying to show what's happening and try to get people on the same page. So also thinking about what to show and how much you show and how much you draw on that was a very tough decision and very challenging, I need to say. So, but I'm still happy that it's basically, I got once a response in a sense of, wow, that's uncanny. And I was like, okay, I did it, I guess. So it was a weird success, but it definitely was. So, yeah. And yeah, a lot of continuity.
Right. Yeah, just for a little bit of context also, like your animation that plays is quite different also to Rika's, right? Because you are using basically an audio track that you animate throughout for pieces of stories that we could not represent anyhow else and didn't want to show something redundant as a push in the wind for 5 minutes. So you basically follow one protagonist throughout. Like, did you feel that you at one point got like a little bit of a connection to the protagonist that you cover throughout these 5 minutes? And if so, what kind of relation did you develop to the material in that end?
I think I didn't really connect to any person in that because I couldn't. Otherwise, I couldn't draw anything. And the interesting part in this is I had some reference pictures, which I also did on research and having an idea about, especially like how military looks, how different landscapes look, how people might be looking. And there were so many parts in this, not only drawing the movements of people and also how they look. It's also about in what environment are they bedded in, and when is it starting to build itself up, when is it starting to have some details, where is it necessary to put details, where is it not necessary to have them. And sometimes I think it was a bit tricky to nail a character in the sense of I didn't see them so often, so I really had to try to study a bit on how they look regarding on pictures or what I got shown also. So, yeah.
It's terrible to only have one mic because you cannot have really such a fluent conversation. But so right now we see scene number 8 out of the big sequence that you've drawn. So I personally know why I love this scene from what you've done, and also a lot of it is also about the context that I do not want to give away right now. But I was happy that you also selected this scene that you would like to present. Is there a particular reason that you're proud of this one?
Yeah, I think the biggest reason is that throughout the whole process, I learned so much in this program. As said, I didn't know anything at all before. I was just like, this is the chance to start with it, because basically that's what I actually want to continue doing mainly. So that was one of the best projects I could start with, because it serves something. It really wants to show people what happens in the world and really tries to give a message out in the world. And it's, I mean, maybe very big words, but I think contributing to works like that is way more honoring than to just some advertisement or whatever it is. That's so much nicer. But in this particular reason why I chose this also is, for me at least, I know that I made a lot of big steps until I got there. And I really understood the program better, and also the tricks I can use to make it a bit easier for myself, because I was really much drawing every scene you see here, which is picture after picture after picture, and sometimes you draw a whole day the same person or the same bricks or the same river or the same wall or whatever it is, and it is also a lot of patience you need to put in there, which is very hard in some situations, but still it's so worth it that you stick to it, and eventually you see things moving. Yeah. So, yeah.
Right. Also similar question then to Reka. Do you see yourself doing similar things in the future? Like, I know from one end, right, you've been far more engaged with activism already before this, and you know that the political messaging and the stance itself is also something that is attractive to you. But beyond that, do you see yourself also doing more feature style animations, or moving into this field from graphic design a little bit furthermore?
Yeah, I definitely see that coming. Like, I love animations in all directions, I need to say. And I love different styles of animations. That's actually my next steps, where I want to try out more in not only line drawings, but also moving colors and everything like that. Maybe too much detail there, but I definitely would love to stay in the direction of activism. But, you know, after a while, you also need something that gets you through life somehow. We all know that, basically. But I would really love to go more in the direction of science also, like trying to make complex topics graspable for people that don't deal with it every day, and trying to support it with animations. I think TED Talks, dear God, does it also in a quite nice way. They have some sort of like 5 minutes animations with very complex topics, but after the 5 minutes you at least have some idea about them, and that's basically pretty much the direction I would love to go.
Last question also on that end. You have quite a distinct style in terms of this feature minimalism that you develop through lines and through just undertones and the limited amount of color. I mean, of course, this is a very minimal amount of color. But then what I like about, for example, we showed the flyers and the art graphs that you've done before. You see the same kind of lighty line drawings and patterns on it. Do you think you'll stick with that style? Will be just like a linea cara, like a stemple, or will you also want to change into different motions of visualization in that end?
I definitely give it a try. Absolutely, because that was also a thing of, okay, I have no idea about it, but still I want at least to try it. But I think I pretty much will stick to it in some certain degree, because I just love drawing lines. It's just, I really enjoy it, to say it. But it's also something that kind of shows in my work for a long time now. And I think I would like to establish it a bit more and make it a bit more firm. But yet there's so much to explore. I don't want to drop that either. So, yeah.
Right. Well, I would be also interested in the worst best experience that you had in there so far, but like we don't need another schmooze around. Like it's very sweet, but like you can be honest.
Maybe my last week here, we did celebrate a lot, I think. It was very intense, but no, I think it was all the time like a roller coaster a bit. There was really good moments, very challenging moments, but I wouldn't say particularly there was one situation where I would say, okay, that was it, I need to leave. So, yeah. So, hey, I'm still here again. No, but I really enjoyed that. It was a very crazy journey, still is, I think, but it is really nice that it's not only linear, that you just go circles, rounds, lines, this direction and that other direction. That's great.
Well, thank you so much as well. Give it up for Alina. So if you'd like to see more of Alina's work, we're also going to leave her links and availabilities also, not only on the website, where, by the way, both of Alina's and Reka's work is already listed, but also under the description of this video. Right, and I think that concludes the animation section on this end, and now I basically would love to introduce the person who has to fix all of our mistakes, from which there were incredible amounts, which is a person who has also exceeding career for the last 20 years in the field, Tom Hoscher. Please, our editor and basically wizard in the back works. Tom, honestly, where to begin? Like, we got also in touch. Actually, do you mind telling the story of how you got involved also to the project before? Because I think that is also a brilliant one. Please.
Yeah. Hello. I've been friends with Pero Sandic, the founder of the NGO SOS Balkanroute, for a few years now, because I did some videos for him and we became real close friends. And our wonderful producer Johanna is also part of SOS Balkanroute. And he faced a lawsuit. He was accused by the ICMPT. And we all went to the lawsuit and to support him. And after he won the lawsuit, we were celebrating. And Johanna told me about your film and said we need an editor. So here I am.
Pictures, by the way, of also founder of SOS Balkanroute, and this is rapper name is Capex, right? Exactly. Those images will be also around here. It's the ones with the fire and the few of them that are here in color. But as you can see, there's a lot of images that are far older than that. And I think you got also then involved primarily through your passion of music into editing and film. Other than just the video clips that we show here, there's also snippets of one incredible feature film that you made, which is the concert film of Falco. Now, by the many anecdotes that you told about this, I know it's a crazy story of how that all came to about, but could you also elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, this was a very hard piece of work because the concert happened in 1994 and it was filmed very unprofessionally by some local guys there. And as I said, in 1994. They had two cameras, one on the left-hand side, one on the right-hand side on the stage, so they filmed each other constantly. And then there was a third camera in front, and it was shaking all the time because of the sub-basses. So, and the producer, Thomas Ravic, asked me, he showed me this program, which he purchased, and he asked me, can we do something about this? And I said, I don't know. But in the end, it worked well. We used every trick we could come up. We placed ads in the newspapers to find people who were there in 1994 and filmed this event. So we got a bit more footage, and I think it was very successful in the end. Also because of the great sound. And I think you told me when you saw this, you were thinking, okay, this guy can do something out even poor footage, because in Anachoma we've got Zoom interviews, we've got handy footage from asylum seekers and so on, so you cannot expect very professional recordings. So it's not that easy. Sometimes there's a lot to do with the audio too, or you have to stabilize some sequences and so. And I've got a little experience in this field, so I think I can help it. I hope I can help it. But in the end, it's not about the editing. I think a good edit should mainly stay unseen. You should feel it, but you should not. The edit should not get the intention. So I'm really happy with your very detailed script. I always know what we want to do, and I think this will work out right, and it will work out okay. And afterwards, we will see a bit of the movie, and so yes, I'm optimistic in this.
Right, so about the many mistakes that also just came out of the issues of the material, the issue of the film that we're making. There also, of course, both myself and also to some extent also Johanna, who also filmed, and a lot of the scenes in the afterwards were not really equipped or really educated in the field of making a proper ensigns. But I think we also have a snippet of 3 cases, if I'm not mistaken, that you managed to fix. Let's start them together with the first one, just to get the viewers an understanding of from where you have to make this shine.
First one is one of those Zoom interviews.
The turning point where pushback became a real part, a routinized, normal activity of the Greek authorities towards the halting of migration flows. The turning point where pushback became a real part, a routinized, normal activity of the Greek authorities towards the halting of migration flows.
As you noticed, there are a lot of lags in the raw material because of the bad internet connection, and I'm trying to fix this. You can fix this to a certain extent. What I was trying here is called a feature is called optical flow, which can add some pictures that are not there. So the editing software helps a lot in this, but you have to experiment a bit with certain codecs and certain codec. It's very dry and not very interesting, but this is one of the things I'm trying to fix, this lagging internet footage. In the next example, we've got bad audio and a lot of background noise.
I'm here from in the last 20 years, 22 years. All these years, the total number from the people who died in the border, it's about 660 people died only from the Greek side. I'm here from in the last 20 years, 22 years. All these years, the total number from the people who died in the border, it's about 660 people died only from the Greek side.
And this is an example I call it a storytelling by restraint. As I come from a very musical background, I did a lot of music videos and concert videos and private TV. I tend to be flashy, and I tend to overdo things, to make it sensational and stuff like that. And this is not appropriate for this program, for this film. And I'm very happy that you are constantly reminding me what is too much. And this is a good example, because there is no edit in this sequence. I just cared about the subtitles and the right sequence from start to finish. There is a lot of story in this, so you don't have to edit anything.
المهم لما وجينا وصلنا خيتو هي في محطة مثل المحطة هيك بلور كلها بلور والدنيا برد شوي. قلنا لن تعبنا خلاص حاج بدنا نقعد، قعدنا فيه. شافنا واحد منها اليونانية صاحب بيت جدا من هناك، والله جانا شاف ضحك علينا وهيك، وشاف هذا ضحك شيء. دق تلفون، قلنا دق تلفون بلكي ان شاء الله جاتنا النجدة يا ربي حدا يجي ياخذنا بس بدي اعالج المرضى، لان طلعت من تركيا هو جسمه كاب على فرد كبه.
And I also want to add a little bit on context of the images that you saving the way you're doing. The first interview snippet with a lovely man from the Greek Council for Refugees, Dimitris Koros, was also a more than 45-minute long interview, where video recording from our end was also technically compromised, and then the only thing that we got was Zoom backend from his phone, basically. And then that was then separated with the audio for some reason. So you had to match it again, and you had to add in the optical flow, and you put it in sync for it to become editable at all. that was even ground zero. And then you managed to sequence it in a nice way when an edit becomes invisible, the way you made it. It just seems natural and progressive in its avenue. And the second bit also, it's a very good interview that was actually recorded by Johanna Walk. By the way, for anybody who's watching, like, she's sitting right behind the table, where also Mike was plugged in, right? Technically, in internal space, shouldn't be much lag, but still there is, and still the audio has a lot of background pop, which you then also fix brilliantly, even though I tell you this, that we didn't even do the sound mixing of the film yet, and the things that Tom has been already making to improve it is unfathomable. And then the last piece that I also enjoyed that you then showed is that not only is it at times restraining of like what we show, but also when do we show it. And I think it's very good to have, I think, a little bit of that dynamic with us of like, you find always solutions, or at least suggestions to solutions that we would otherwise not come up, like the rough cut that you also mentioned, for which we're going to show the second chapter. There's many sequences of a lot of these aerial footages from either archive material or telephone issues, just rolling on the punch tonight. But yes, so what I wanted to ask also, within the fact that you mentioned that you had a quite different style in the beginning and that you worked so much in restoring a bit of chances, where do you think this film is developing on that end, a little bit of your tool development as well after so many years in the practice, and how do you see you want to continue also into a documentary field as well, other than the usual things that you've been able to cover for music in the past?
When I was 14 or 15 years old, I saw this movie, All the President's Men, by Andrzej Pakula, which deals with the Nixon administration and the Watergate affair. And I realized it's not really about this Watergate scandal. It's about investigative journalism. So, and at that age, I wanted to be an investigative journalist. It didn't turn out that way, but when I started directing and editing, I always wanted to be part of an investigative story. So I'm very happy and honored I can do this. So it's like a dream come true for me. It's a very serious work. I think it's the most serious work I ever did. So yeah, I'll do my best, and I hope maybe in the future I can do something like this again. I'm a little bit older now, and not I'm not so interested in music and music videos anymore, because there isn't many new things to explore, and this is something which makes very much sense to me. It isn't always a pleasant work to do. Sometimes I have to stop and pause for 10 minutes because of the few minutes I just edited. I do not know the script as well as you do. In fact, it opens up for me as I go on, and sometimes it's devastating what we're seeing here. But I think it's very, very important, and I will be very proud when it's finished and when it's there.
Who we had the chance to uncover in that end. It puts us in a position where I think we both have to be quite creative a lot of the times. But I thank you very much also on that end, and you've been a wonderful still are a wonderful partner throughout that, and you give us incredible amount of guidance, Tom. Like, again, like me and Johnny, I think we've been like a couple of fools when we started on it, and I think we've grown with every new person that we recruited. But to go through this entire thing with you, it's been nothing but a bliss so far. Right. Thank you so much. So, same thing as with Alina and Reka. If you want to go through like more than 20 years of someone's career's catalog, you can find at least bits and pieces under the Vimeo link that we also leave under this live stream. The fantastic concert footage of Falco, which Tom managed to restore out of thin air, is also underneath there. And I'm very happy to have kind of our last guest on. It's a friend that I know for also felt, I think, like 6 years at this point, and who was also there at the first guest of this entire event series when we started our crowdfunding campaign in Budapest, which is Máté Gados, the composer of the film. A hint of déjà vu, no? Máté, first of all, thank you so much for making all the way from Budapest to here. Máté is also playing the after show of tonight's gig. And I also mentioned this in the Budapest event, although you're quite shy about it, but I think you should be way prouder the way than you are right now. Your first album dropped this year, which is your first feature album that you, I think, if I'm not mistaken, mixed and produced. It's called Budapest. Can you also tell us a little bit about that project of yours?
Well, it was part of like, since when I started music, I just, my whole dream was to just write an album and to be like all artsy about it and make it like a concept album or something like that. And it turned out to be that. It was actually just kind of documenting a year of mine living in Budapest, and this is why it's titled that. And I was really happy with how it came out, even though I kind of hate it by this point. I spent so much time on it, mixing and mastering and just putting everything together, that even though I'm really proud of the result, I cannot listen to a single song on it, because I'm just kind of dying of cringe, is to say so. But it's been a dream come true, and I'm really happy that I had the ability and the trust of a company to release it, a record label, to just put enough faith in me to release a whole album from someone who is just like a complete nobody, to say so. I mean, in terms of like globally. But yeah, that's kind of it.
If you have 3 images, this is also one of them from Budapest, which is also a single out of there. And then the rest is all club scenes out of Budapest. And in terms of how much of you are not really a nobody, I mean, you've been also active on the scene for also about the last 6-7 years, no? I think you had your first gigs at A38 and the Old Dürer, and have been also acoustically active in music beforehand. So how did you first start acoustic music, and how did you then later switch on to electric and got into basically the genre of yours that you kind of curve?
I started it like, I think the way like every white middle class guy does, and I started playing the guitar when I was young because it was cool, because I heard the Beatles and I was like, hey. So I started playing the guitar like in a really, really self-taught manner at, I think, age 12, 11. And then I found out about electronic music through downloading FL Studio to the family PC when I was 14 or 13, and then making like quite horrible, but now looking back, amazing trance tracks that I made my family listen to during family gatherings. But from that, I realized that with a computer, I can do so much more than just with like a physical instrument, because I can mix and match and edit any sound, any sample. I can create my own with oscillators and stuff. So after that, I taught myself how to play the piano, because this is the easiest way to communicate with the computer. And then I've been making music for a while, not releasing it, obviously, for years. And then, like, kind of on that track, I started DJing at like the age 17, I think. And yeah, as you said, I got pretty involved with a few of the like underground subcultures. First, like drum and bass and dubstep, then and then later house, and just a little bit of techno. I'm not a big techno guy myself, but and this is how it came to this point.
Right. In order to sound brave, can we try to listen to one of Mate's samples, which is utterly different from everything that you mentioned so far, which is some samples of the film. I know that we had a bit of issue also with the bass, so maybe let's try not the song Aggression, but maybe we can try something from Camp or a little bit of the teaser music, just to give a little bit of a sense to it. Can we also listen to the teaser number 2, please? Right, so not quite techno indeed. When I first called you, the first thing that you said, it sounds great. I'm gonna make a shitload of drone sounds and scratches and informative things like that. Other than there have been already hints on that in the Budapest album, was there a specific avenue that got you inspired for the audio that you use and the tonality of the songs that you chose? Because first of all, these were all supported by you completely blind. I think you saw pieces of the really raw material, maybe 2-3 minutes of the rough cut, and then we got basically 7-8 songs in the next month. So how did it all happen for you?
Well, it came together quite easily, actually, because first of all, I always wanted to do something like that, because I don't know if it's to everyone who's making music. I cannot speak on behalf of everyone, but scoring a film or a documentary is something of like a higher, counted amongst the higher achievements that you can achieve. And because of that, even before you told me what the documentary was about, I was already like, I'm in. And then you told me what the documentary was about, and first I was like, what? But then I was like, I'm even more all in, because this is a great cause to try and support. And after that, when you gave me access to the Google Drive, after the initial shock of some of the footage and some of the pictures on it, it just started to come together really quickly in my head. I had access to like raw footages organized loosely into scenes, and after looking at them, I was just trying to create atmospheres for the wannabe final product, because a documentary's music shouldn't be like really foregoing. It's not like an action movie with like huge epic swells of like strings and stuff like that. The point is to create an atmosphere to which can support the interviews and the real meaning of the film. And because of that, it's really hard. I cannot really tell you how it happened. It just, for some reason, it just came together. I just started doing manipulating like soundscapes and samples and using drones, which I love. I love using drones. And it just came out. I really cannot explain how exactly it happened, but it just came together, and you were happy with it, luckily, which is really great. Because I think I've made all those songs in like a feverish week, and when I uploaded them, if you came back saying that, oh, well, I don't really like this, then it would have been a really bad moment, because I had a lot of them prepared, and I have a lot of like unfinished material as well for the film, which would have been gone to waste.
Right, for the people here who gonna stay on after the broadcast ends and we're gonna show the rough cut, the first song that Mate sent us is also the first song in that rough cut, which honestly absolutely blew me away, because I feel like you very much got what the atmosphere of that particular chapter wanted to be and what the dynamic of that theme would have been, and then also very much the tonalities later onwards. One thing that I think also Kinchi, our moderator for the Budapest event, asked us, which I think is also a very interesting question for the English-speaking audience of this possible broadcast, is where do you feel the senses of cultural appropriation to certain sounds that you would be flirtatious to use just to generate an atmosphere, and how you try avoiding it, or how you try to circumvent it of being authentic but not gimmicky, or not not appropriating sounds by presenting them to an audience?
First of all, sorry, I have a bit of a cold. This is why I'm coughing non-stop. Well, I think it comes from two things. First of all, it's really important to avoid, and I think it's really easy for any artist who works on a project like this, is you always need to keep in mind that it's, even though it's your artistic project as well, it's not your artistic project. It's not about you. This is about the people who are experiencing the things on the ground and who need to go through the pushbacks. It's not your big break or whatever. And this the reason why I'm telling this is because this is what can lead into becoming not only culturally appropriative. I don't know if this is a word that is existing, but the way you can avoid cultural appropriation and to just really make music that is just the background to kind of, I think in the Budapest event we use the word suffering porn, but it's a thing that you need to avoid when you are trying to avoid topics like this. And I think it's if you can keep the main objective of the movie in mind, and you try to catch yourself wherever you are whenever you get into a situation, then hopefully you can avoid getting into it. An example which I think actually I have two examples of this happening. I get carried away easily. I was looking through some footage, and it was a picture of a deflated boat, just like hanging from, I think it was the pillars of a bridge. I don't want to say something stupid, but I think it was a bridge. And my first initial idea was like, what a great shot. It's amazing. I will be, then there the drones will swell here and it will be like a really dramatic ending, and I had to stop for a minute. It's like, wait, this deflated boat implies a lot of things, a lot of horrible things that people had to go through over in that boat, and it's like it's not a great picture for me to create a tune under. It's something else. And the other one, which I think you alluded to when you were asking the question, is that there are a few scenes obviously on the Turkish side of the border as well, and there is a scene with an abandoned mosque, I think, and for that I had this great idea of using the Muezzin song, I think it's what it's called in English, to like create an atmosphere of Turkey, which is already in itself kind of problematic because it's monolithizing every people there. But I was working on it. I was working really late into the night, which I tend to when I get into like the mindset, and I had to catch myself at like I think 2 a.m. in the morning, being like, well, Mate, you are a really white guy, sitting at 2 in the morning, putting reverb on the holy song of a religion. Maybe you shouldn't do that. So I messaged Philip about it as well, and we were like, yeah, this idea should be dropped. But I think it just you always need to think about the project and where the line is between just creating an authentic atmosphere, and when you get into like the American action movies style of like sitar starts to play and the color grading shifts to like yellow whenever there is a scene in the Middle East. So I think you need to ask yourself, you need to ask for like feedback from outsiders as much as you can to, hey, is this okay? Are we still in the good territory, or are we getting over maybe a bit too into it and resulting in cultural appropriation?
Right. Also, question to you as to basically everyone so far. Do you see yourself doing more of this kind of work, also in the subject matter, also in regards to documentaries or scoring films in general? Is that something that you would include in your future repertoire, or is this kind of like a one-off because pushbacks are important?
Well, pushbacks are important, and to talk about them is important. But I'd like to do anything that's music. Basically, I already have my hand in a lot of other projects as well. I have another album coming out. I have been working on another like multimedia project, which is really it's really just in the beginning stages, so I can't really say anything concrete about it. But I'd love to score films, and I'd love to make more ambient stuff. One of my idols is Behind Anachoma, who is really famous for making ambient and scoring films. So I'd obviously love to do that as well. So I hope that this is not a one-off.
Right. Mate, thank you so much, first of all, for being here, for making the journey, for doing the incredible products that you deliver us. I would say week by week, but you have actually a very funny way of how you provide us with the material, because it's always a little bit late, but then it's so much more than expected. like, oh yeah, it's not the teaser music that's lagging. I made like 5 more songs. I just forgot to upload them. Sorry. But I love it. And you're also going to play for us later after this broadcast is over for the rest of the people here. So please, everybody who's here, have a good time and stay on. And I basically will now slowly sign off to the people who were with us in this lovely broadcast. Very much again, sorry for the technical delays. Sorry for also the delays in the broadcast itself. The plays with audio and video, for some reason, were very much cursed today. But if you enjoy the people that you got to meet and you enjoy the product, Civil Őrzőkutya, the podcast made by Lőrinc Marcel, of which we also posted, I think, just yesterday, actually. So please stay with us, follow us for more, help if you can, and thank you so much for your attention, and see you around. Ate, thank you again.